Hi, welcome to another edition of IP Somm. I'm Heather Boyd, owner and proprietor of Killer IP, and my guest today is Heather Petherick.
Hello.
She's a business coach, and we're going to be discussing the considerations that service providers need to think about when they're expanding their businesses beyond Canadian borders. So Heather, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
As you mentioned, I am also Heather, Heather Petherick.
Heather Square.
Heather Squared today. And I am a business coach for established female business leaders. So women who own businesses. I am based here in Canada, but my clients are all around the globe. And I'm excited to be talking more about great drinks and IP today.
Right. So today's beverage of choice, Heather's a big fan of gin, and we all know that I'm a big fan of gin. So we're going to make a Christmas cocktail with Christmas flavors, so cranberry and orange. I've thrown in some rosemary because it's more accessible than juniper to go with the gin.
Wise.
So we're going to make a orange cranberry gin drink. Smash. We're gonna call it a smash. You get to name the drink because I'm just creating this as we
I
go.
did not prepare for this.
So Heather's going to shave some orange peel into the drink, just because when you use orange peel, it adds more flavor to a beverage.
A little bit of zest.
A little bit of zest goes a long way.
Here we go.
And I'm going to actually
squeeze.
I'm going to make some.
You're going to juice.
I'm going to juice the orange for fresh.
Okay, I'm having flashes to Martha Stewart and what's the guy's name?
Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg. Okay, we'll call you Martha. I'll be Snoop Dogg.
Okay, so I always like to use fresh ingredients because fresh is best.
Fresh is best.
And today's gin that we're going to be using is called Top Shelf, and it's from right here in Perth, which is kind of like a sub area of suburb
of Ottawa.
Kind of.
Right?
I mean, it's a town outside of Ottawa, but it's really becoming known for. That's probably good.
You like that?
Yeah. Just use your finger to wipe off the rest, and I'm going to squeeze this orange as well. Perth is becoming really well known for its distilleries and breweries and some really good food as well. So. All right, and you can next pour in some cranberry juice.
With pleasure.
So obviously cranberry is a great festive beverage.
How much do you want? I'll pour, you tell me when to stop.
Yeah, you just keep pouring. And we're making a pitcher here. That's probably good.
I love that.
And then if you, you know what? Can you grab a shot glass from the side over there?
Yes.
And we can figure out how many shots to put in this. But I think we're gonna put the gin directly into our glasses because there's no chance we're gonna drink all of this.
Well,
this cranberry cocktail. Well,
it could be a long episode.
That's quite possible. So.
Wow, you did great to juice all of that. You've done this before.
I have.
I love it.
So it didn't give a lot of orange juice. You can add more if you want, but with the zest, it just makes it a lot more friendlier.
It's already looking so festive.
I know. And then I always put sparkling water. We've had this discussion before. I'm not a huge fan of tonic water because I find it too sweet. I think it's probably good. We're gonna spin that around.
Stir it around. Very glamorous stir stick.
I know, right? And then we can pour. We're gonna use Top Shelf.
Okay.
So I will pour. You just want one shot?
That would be safest.
There you go.
Excellent.
Pour it right in your glass.
No.
Or in your mouth. And then shoot down the rest.
Lovely.
Okay, so the money shot. Top Shelf. That was probably too quick, but take it out if you need to, Jenna. And
okay.
And we'll just. Oh, we also have goldenberries.
Yeah, you gotta show the berries.
The goldenberries that you can eat. My trick is I put the entire package into the freezer, so they freeze, so they become like, isn't that cute? They're like ice cubes.
Here's a close-up. Mmm. And it smells so lovely.
So now we get to try it. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you're welcome to try it.
I might add a little more
Gin?
top shelf. Not right now, but in the future.
Afterwards.
I do want to be somewhat, articulate.
Let's talk about basically your clients.
Great.
And what they need.
Excellent.
To consider when they're exporting their services.
Yes.
Because Heather deals primarily with service-based women entrepreneurs.
Yeah. So coaches, authors, consultants, experts, community leaders, influencers, people that are really providing a level of service with a high degree of customization or specialization when they're working with their clients.
Right.
So a lot of them will have bodies of work that they will have given a name to. So they might have a program that they are enrolling clients into. They might have a tool that they have developed based on their years of experience to guide clients through their service delivery.
Okay. I'd like to talk a little bit about the difference between providing a product or providing a service or exporting them outside of Canada.
Yes.
Because in my line of work, intellectual property law, we have to define goods and services when we're talking about trademarks and and that. So a service is exactly what Heather said, was where they're providing a service to others, whereas products are a tangible item that you hold in your hand. So sometimes electronic products are actually services as well. I would suggest that you speak to an IP agent if you're not sure whether you're offering a product or service externally. You've got clients all over the world that are working. But we're going to talk primarily about Canadians who are trying to start businesses or expand their businesses beyond the Canadian borders. So one of the first things they need to consider is where they're going to be selling their services or providing those services.
Okay.
You deal a lot with internet coaching and stuff. So these are people who are in Canada and they're providing coaching services to their clients, just like you are, or even authorization, being an author, but they're not physically going to another country. They're providing the services here in Canada. So what we really need to consider is making sure that they have developed an identity. And what's an identity?
Yeah. Well, you've taught me this. It can be two things. It can be your personal name, and you can talk about why that might be good or bad to operate under. But the second thing would be the name of your business or a name of your program or name of your tool.
So we're talking trademarks. So
Yes.
trademarks identify your services, right? Or your goods. So it becomes your identity. It's that tangible item that you're trying to sell is your identity.
Yeah.
And you need to protect that. Protect it through trademark registration.
Yes, you do. Especially if it's your primary or a large proportion of your income, it needs to be protected. I learned that from her.
Yeah. So once you've identified the countries that you want to expand into or where your potential clients are, first and foremost, check to make sure that nobody in that country is actually using your name, your corporate name, your company name, your name, for the same type of goods and services. So I encourage people to get a trademark search done before they start expanding, particularly marketing in that country. You can offer services to people if they contact you, but if you're going to be marketing yourself anywhere, make sure that you definitely conduct a trademark search to make sure you're not infringing other people's rights.
Great.
One of the other things you really need to consider is whether that country is primarily an English country or whether they speak a foreign language in that country, because what you want your clients to do is be able to search for you. And if they speak a different language and you're only putting an English word out there for them to search, they're not going to find you.
Not going to find you.
Yeah.
That's not good.
So you may have spent all this money on a trademark registration, but in China, English words aren't searched. And then somebody can come in and use the Chinese equivalent and steal your rights out from under your...
Steal it!
Yes. That's not good. We want to make sure you are protected. Another consideration is copyright protection. So you've got a lot of authors and people who write programs.
Yeah, so a lot of my clients will create a body of, I would call it a body of work. You might call it a program or a system of steps that they would guide a client through, whether it's part training, whether it's part coaching, or whether it's technical information that they're delivering. And they would give that body of knowledge a name, pardon me.
Right. So what you should do before you enter another country then is to check to see first and foremost whether they offer copyright protection. Copyright protection, as we've talked about before, protects the content of the work of art. So if it's the guts, the meat of everything.
Yeah.
So if it's a book, it protects the contents, the way it's written, the entire book. It does not protect the title. We've talked about that. Title can be protected through trademark registration down in the States. If it's one book and a title, you probably can't get registration of that because then it's just the title of the book and everyone is entitled to words kind of thing. You get copyright protection on the book, but not the title. So in Canada, if you write a book, you can get trademark protection on the title.
Really?
Yeah. But it's to prevent other people from writing a book that's entitled the same thing, covering the same type of services.
Right.
But you also want to attach something else other than the book. So if you're providing services with that book, like if you were to write a book, then it would be, Heather Petherick.
Women of style, wit, and substance.
That's right. So her title would be that, but she's also offering coaching services under the same trademark. So that would be something that you could protect.
Okay. So I have an example. So I have a client right now who is an author in Western Canada and is now, as an extension of that book that she's written, she's now marketing her services, but a training program. So a workshop or a training program that's a series of weeks long under the same name.
Right.
So
she should be protecting her trademark for the speaker series, for the training, for any of the books that she's selling that goes with that, any manuals that are attached to that.
And each of those would be separate trademarks?
No. One trademark can cover all of those. I mean, they're different classes of goods and services. She could sell swag under the same thing. So
Yes.
So you want to look at the entirety of the business offering that she's doing and protect that under the name. And I highly recommend that if you've got a book title and you're building a business around that book title, that you do protect the title of the book and all the services that go. Copyright should actually be protected if the country offers it. If the country doesn't offer copyright protection, then my suggestion is file it in the U.S. because you can file U.S. copyright registrations through customs to prevent other people from exporting and importing into that country using the copyright registration.
Okay. How do you know if that country offers copyright protection?
Well, you speak to an agent like me and we can find that out.
Excellent.
Speaking of agents or lawyers, attorneys, if you contact an agent in Canada or a trademark attorney, IP attorney in Canada, we will have a network of associates that we deal with constantly that can help register your IP or check for infringing stuff in other countries. And I would only trust Canadian IP agents who contact you directly or that you contact directly for the information, because there is tons of spamming out there. When you file an application for a trademark here in Canada, there are people or organizations all over the world that spam the trademark database, and what they do is they send letters to the trademark owner directly, not the agent, saying that in order to register your trademark in
obscure country X,
Laos or whatever, you need to pay $1,200 US. It gets you nothing. That's just spam. So a good agent will tell you in Canada, they will tell you that once you file that, don't trust any other invoice that you receive. Always send it to your agent to verify its validity, and we can tell you whether it's spam or not. Same thing with cease and desists.
Yes, cease and desists.
If you get a cease and desist from another country, obviously send it to an agent to review it. Don't try to handle it yourself. Don't pay anything because we've come across, I have my clients have come across cease and desists that are fraudulent, they're spam.
Oh.
So be very careful with that. Some are absolutely 100% legitimate. At least they think they're being legitimate, but you have to be careful.
Yeah.
So
I want to share an interesting story about cease and desist letters. Yeah. So a couple of years back, I was working with a client who was going through an incredible level of growth in her business as a coach, and she was starting to attract more and more clients from outside of Canada, which was great. And things were going along quite well. And then, lo and behold, she received a cease and desist letter. And before she was able to, go down the rabbit hole of, oh my gosh, I've done something wrong, I'm horrible, I don't deserve this sort of success, we actually had a moment of celebration because it was a harbinger of her success, that she was getting enough visibility, she was attracting enough attention, that someone actually saw her as a legitimate threat. So, number one, don't freak out. Number two, celebrate. And number three, call Heather.
Call me. I'll do the research for you, or my team will do the research for you to make sure it's legit first and foremost, and then to be able to advise you on what is the best way of handling that based on your economic situation and really how much of a right fighter you want to be, or the other side.
Right fighter.
Right fighters.
Right fighter.
The last thing that I want to talk about is your client's right to trade secrets.
Yeah.
So if you're providing services in other countries, but you've got back-end analysis, formulas, those kind of things, the best way to protect those so that other people don't copy them is not send out your Excel spreadsheet that shows your formula.
Don't do that.
Thing. Keep it as a trade secret. So that means you're holding on to formulas, process. Put that all into writing, and then you can file it digitally. There are companies like Iron Mountain that you can send your digital copy to for a fee. They hold it, and they can maintain that as a trade secret for you. And that way you've got proof of your trade secret if another company comes after you for that. You want to always show that you've started using this from a date, a specific date. So it's not just your trade secrets, it's whatever services you're providing. Make sure that you keep a record of when you're providing services, how you're providing services, particularly the first service, and that you've always attached your trademark, copyright, notes and stuff too.
I have a question about that.
Sure.
What would qualify as a legitimate record of use of a particular name or phrase that you want to trademark?
So if you're trademarking a service in Canada, when you're exporting a service, so I'm providing services to foreign clients here in Canada, or I'm exporting those services for a Canadian client to a foreign country, the date of first use is the date that I advertise my services available to those clients here in Canada. So for me, that would be back in October 2012 under my trademark Pillar IP. But for other people, it can be the day you perform the service for them, that you invoice them. If you're just starting out, the date of advertisement is fine. So sometimes advertising is the date that you start your website, as long as those services are available. If you put up your website and you say it's under construction, those services aren't available yet. So bear that in mind.
So just to recap, because this applies to a lot of my clients. So the date of invoicing would qualify for a particular service under that name.
You have to mark the trademark on the invoice as well. So just be clear in the services provided.
Yes. What
you're providing, make sure there's a whole way of making sure that you have specimens of use that are clear.
Specimens of use.
Yes.
You're full of great terms. I know.
But we can a trademark agent, a good trademark agent or IP agent can help you with that. When it comes to industrial designs and patents, you don't want to use it before you protect it.
Yeah.
Because the minute you use it, you've given public notice that you're using it, and you may not be it may not be available to protect through registration in other countries. And again, with the trademarks, I want to be clear to say that Canada, the US, Mexico, India, those are all first to use countries. So even if somewhere else were to use the trademark or file an application in those countries prior to you filing yours, if you've already used it previously, then you may have
First to use.
senior rights, what we call.
Okay.
But in almost every other country of the world, they're first to file. So you have to be very careful making sure that you understand whether it's a first to file or first to use country so that you seek protection. In order to protect yourself, if you're offering services under Amazon or Alibaba, consider the fact that some countries require registration for you to use your trademark in their countries. So, or for the websites to make sure that you can use them on the websites to offer your services. So,
excellent.
When you're translating your trademark into another, let's use China for example.
Great.
If you're translating your trademark into Mandarin or Cantonese, you have to make sure that you're translating it so that it becomes appealing to the Chinese public. So using Google Translate as a direct translator, it's not considered a good option. You need to speak to someone who actually understands either the Mandarin or Cantonese language, whichever one you want to use, to help you translate it so that it becomes an appealing thought. So what they do is they translate. Like we have companies in China that we use to help create branding for our Canadian English trademarks. And what they do is they provided a table of options. So they will tell you exactly what the translation is for the individual words. What they'll do is they'll come up with a similar sounding word that then offers, in addition to that offer a transliteration that gives you a happy feeling about the word.
We all want happy feelings.
That's right. So Coca-Cola or something, what they did was they translated it to happy mouthfeel.
Ooh.
Right?
Oh.
So that, I couldn't tell you what the
happy mouthfeel.
What it actually sounds like. But same thing with Mercedes-Benz, but Apple was translated to, I can't remember what it was. They just did the exact straight transliteration of it. So yeah, so be very careful about that, making sure that you hire a legitimate translator to do that, someone who's in the country and understands
the subtleties
that are required. And you definitely want to file your trademark application if you're going to enter a market like China or whatever. You want to file that Mandarin or Cantonese, the Chinese version of that, because they won't search for you in English. They will search for you in Cantonese. And if you don't file it, as we said before, somebody else will come in and steal your mark.
Scoop it up. Okay.
Scoop it. So I think we're good. We're going to keep talking here. Drinking. Heather, thank you so much for being my Heather Squared today.
Heather Squared!
This is really good.
It is really good. And I'm having a hard time finding a name for it that does it justice. Festive Gin Smash? That's all I got.
Festive Gin Smash it is. So we're going to enjoy our Festivus Gin Smash now and want to say goodbye. Thanks for coming out.
It was a pleasure.
If you like what you saw here, please like, share, comment below, and subscribe.
So, thanks a lot.
Excellent.
Cheers.
Cheers.